Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castro.
Happy Friday to all our brunchies. It's the last day of the work week for some. Oo, pero it's not the last day of news, it's not the last day of life. Hoy,
pero
kung
definitely Friday is time for...
it's Calorie Buddha's Belly Day. Oo, kasi Buddha's Belly every Friday, meron silang a smorgasbord of dishes. Ano ba meron?
Nako, we have, of course, ito yung pancit canton. Ano ito? Siomay, hakaw, and then yung fried rice nila.
Tsaka may, parang is that steamed or stewed ribs at the end? Fried spare ribs.
Tapos
ito
yung fried spare ribs.
Fried spare ribs. Madami tayong pag-uusapan today, di ba? Ang daming issues sa kalabasan.
May nahuli pala parang gabi.
Parang yung mga nangyayari dito sa Alice Goes Saga nito, parang pelikula.
Parang pelikula mo lang makikita, yung pala
The boss of all bosses daw, di ba?
Godfather.
The Godfather. Ito, nako.
Pag-usapan natin yan.
Pag-usapan natin yan kasi may video na lumabas ng actual raid. Let's take a look at it. Kung may ano tayo mamaya, di ba?
Yung sinabi ni supposedly ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa ASEAN Summit. Although closed door yun, mamaya pag-usapan.
Yung sa China? Yung galit siya?
Maya marami tayong pag-uusapan. And of course, later on, meron tayong bisita dito live sa studio.
Live sa studio. Okay, we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch.
Let's start off our countdown with some good news for Meralco customers. There's a possibility that you will have lower electricity bill this month. Meralco is anticipating a lower generation charge in October. This is attributed to lower power prices in the wholesale electricity spot market or WESM due to reduced demand from cooler weather. Also contributing to this is the end of the deferred WESM cost collections, which previously impacted bills. Last month, Meralco customers saw an increase in their electricity bills due to higher transmission charges.
Ay, salamat naman.
Some good news.
Some good news. Kasi,
buti naman ganito ang panimula natin.
Kasi naalala mo, di ba, nung mga maiinit yung panahon, grabe ang taas ng kuryente. And that's understandable dahil a lot of people nga, yung demand, di ba? Ang daming mga gumagamit ng kuryente dahil sa init ng panahon. And now that we are going to be experiencing amihan, medyo malamig-lamig.
Tsaka, aside from yung actual physical demand ng tao, you have to remember, ang makinarya or machines that operate under hot weather, they tend to consume more electricity. Di ba ang aircon nga, pag pinaandar mo sa mainit na panahon, nagdo-double time yung yung makina, yung compressor niya . So ayun, good news sa mga nanggabayad ng kanilang mga Meralco bills.
Ay, medyo konting
may pandagdag ka pambili ng mantika o patis. Dagdag sa bahay. Okay,
alright, let's move on. On our ninth spot is President Marcos. The chief executive challenges Chinese Prime Minister Li Qiang over Beijing's intimidation. On day 2 of the ASEAN Summit in Laos, Marcos said it is regrettable that the situation in the South China Sea remains tense and unchanged. He added that parties must be earnestly open to seriously managing differences. Marcos also lamented that a concept as basic as self-restraint in disputed waters was not even something shared by everyone. Security analyst Chester Cabalsa said it was right and about time for the chief executive to issue such statements against Beijing.
I think he is braver enough now to send such statements like that kasi he has experienced it under his administration.
Totoo yun.
Actually, madami na nagtatanong. It's President Marcos started off his term as president tough on the China-Philippines issue sa West Philippine Sea. And then somewhat this latter part of this year, parang sabi ng tao, parang medyo lumalamya ang stance niya, di ba? Yung statements niya, calls for calm, for peace, let's not panic. Dati talagang no. We will not give a square inch, di ba? Sabi niya, not even a square centimeter. Atin ito, lumambot bigla. And some said it's possibly because we're taking a look at the election scenario sa US between the Democrats and the Republicans, which will affect the way we use our partnership with the US in the future.
Exactly. So yun nga, tama yung sinabi ng security analyst dito na si
It's about time.
It's about time
It's about
din naman. And where else will you say that? Di ba yun yung pagkakataon na magkakaharap-harap kayo?
Oo, and you have to remember, he's together with other world leaders na kaalyado natin. So at least,
Makikita nila,
marunong
diba?
si President Marcos in a
Maglaro
sense na
ng ano eh, no?
maglaro because di ba sabi niya, if you're on the negotiating table, use the leverage that you have.
Yes.
At that time, he saw some allies behind him. So ito leverage ko.
Totoo yan.
Oo.
So yun nga yung sinasabi niya, you cannot separate economic cooperation from political
Yes, oo.
security. Ito sinabi nga daw dito sa closed door meeting ito, kaya wala pa tayong nakikitang mga transcripts ng speech, actually from somebody lang source yung nagsabi nito. And when they asked President Bongbong Marcos kung ano yung sinabi niya during that meeting, sinabi niya, I think it's better that we wait na lang yung para dun sa chairman kung ilalabas yung pinagmitingan nila. But yun nga, sinasabi niya that we cannot, parang hindi natin, we cannot pretend that everything's A-okay.
No, it's not.
Diba? Na when in fact there's tension,
Oo.
diba, doon sa West Philippines.
Pero I think this time around gusto nilang ilabas sa certain parts of the discussion ng PBBM. It's because if you know, we had a closed door meeting with China months ago. Tapos biglang all of a sudden nag-escalate yung tension. Para ko ba may closed door agreement tayo, bakit nag-escalate? So ang question nila, ano ba pinag-usapan nyo?
So during doon sa sa meeting na yan, yesterday,
This
sa
yesterday,
ASEAN Summit na to, na meeting na to, ginawa din example o sinabi rin daw allegedly ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos yung mga nangyaring incident.
Yes.
Dun, yung mga water cannoning incidents, specifically yung nung August.
Tapos
diba?
you have the flare sa eroplano, pagtanggal sa daliri ng Navy officer natin.
Totoo yan. Oo. So, yun nga yung sinasabi niya na, di ba, we cannot pretend na okay lahat yung economic front ng alam naman natin na merong tension na nangyayari doon sa West Philippine Sea. But we will see kung ano pa yung mga, ang tawag dito, mangyayari doon. And on the sideline meeting kasi, nagkita rin sila dyan nila Prime Minister, Canada, si Justin Trudeau, at pinasalamatan nga daw ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos itong si Trudeau dahil doon sa suporta na binibigay. And we have long, di ba, ang tawag dito, long-standing relationship with Canada naman. Tapos every time nagkakaroon ng tension or heated
Basta with
the encounters sa West Philippine Sea, you will see one of the major leaders na nagsasalita dyan ay ang Canada.
Okay. Sige, dami pa pag-uusapan. Okay
Alright,
na? Wala na
sige.
yung ugat?
Alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown.
Our 8th story is about the proposed Reserve Officers Training Corps or ROTC bill. Apparently, the possible implementation of mandatory ROTC comes with a hefty price tag. Senate President Cheese Escudero revealed that the ROTC bill would require a staggering 27.12 billion pesos for full implementation. This funding will cover 3 phases, including maintenance, operational expenses, and personal services. Escudero opposes the measure and insisted the amount could be better allocated to other sectors like health or education. But while he is not in favor of the ROTC bill, the Senate President said he will allow it to proceed through the legislative process.
Kasi nung July kasama yan talaga sa LEDAC Tapos sabi nila by June 2025 dapat daw yan mapasa. Pero nakikita ko ngayon mas clear, clear yung mga nakikita natin na nag-o-oppose dito sa ROTC bill as to compare dun sa when it was sa PRRD's administration. Nakita naman natin yung push ng kanyang mga kaalyansa or alyansa dito sa ROTC.
One of the reasons kasi ginagamit to push for the ROTC bill ng mga ibang proponents nito is sabi nila to build and foster nationalism sa ating mga younger generation. Where in fact there was a survey that was conducted that hindi kailangan ng ROTC to build nationalism because the youth are fully engaged but in a different avenue. Social media is that avenue, diba? So we don't need that if we can strike that out as a reason.
Well, can you,
Pero ang sabi nila, before you want to even explore the ROTC, reintegrating it back sa school system, tignan muna natin yung why it was removed in the first place.
Yes, yun nga, I was gonna
corruption
say that.
in the ROTC was rampant before.
Diba? The reason why talagang natanggal ito dun sa batas natin because may namatay. Remember, that was what year was that? UST student namatay sa hazing because of ROTC. So, and then, of course, yung corruption din.
One of the kasi is corruption. A lot of people paid their way out of the ROTC program. Ang daming loopholes. So, ayusin muna natin ang system before we even explore that.
At saka, 2001.
2001.
See, I
So,
told
tsaka yung
you.
27 billion na sinasabi ni Senate President Cheese Escudero, ilaan na lang natin kaya sa missile system na pinopropose.
Oo, strengthen siguro yung ano,
Security.
yung security
Homeland security natin.
yung militarization. Kasi 'di ba, parang it's a balance of quantity over quality. O marami ka nga mga enlisted dahil ROTC, pero yung mga kagamitan mo naman, it's not really.
Hindi, kunyari when
that
they're called
par.
upon, 'di ba? When they're called upon, wala ka naman ammunition, wala kang baril,
Yun
wala kang
nga.
boots.
Oo. Tsaka aside from that, Senator Cheese Escudero also mentioned na itong magkano
7 billion.
Oo, na
roughly,
po pwedeng gastusin. Can you imagine how many classrooms sa mga sa DepEd pwedeng gastusin?
Oo,
Sa
reminder.
health services, ano pa ba, 'di ba? Na
Reminder
mas
lang po,
kailangan.
one computer is being used at a ratio of 30 to
30.
one computer to 30 to 50 teachers. Kawawa naman ang educational natin.
Alright,
system.
sige. Coming up, a key associate of Kingdom of Jesus Christ, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, has entered a plea deal with the United States. How would this affect the embattled pastors' cases in the country?
And what are the campaign plans of Mamamayang Liberal or ML in next year's elections? We will have an ML first nominee, Laila de Lima, and third nominee, Erin Tanyada, later in the studio.
So abangan nyo po yan ha. Marami tayong pag-uusapan. We are just getting started mga kapatid. Parang feeling ko patapos na tayo. Sobrang dami. More of our top 10 news and brunch returns. Keep it here on One News.
Sige, kumain ka na.
Good morning! You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Ba't ka mabilis
lagi
ha?
ka nahuhuli sa camera kumukuha ng food. Sige na nga.
Kesa naman di natin pansinin itong food. Ang sarap. Amoy na amoy ko na eh.
Okay, si Ralph Domingo said, Buddha's Belly Brunch Friday is love or yummy. Garfield naman, good morning. Garyfield pala, Garfield. Good morning, Ma'am Angela. Happy weekend. Some Pokemon Go.
Hindi ko pa
Pag-greet
nagamit
naman,
to,
may mom's birthday niya tomorrow. Uy, birthday
Sino?
ng mami ni Sam Pokemon Go tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ma'am of Sam Pokemon Go.
Sam Pokemon Go. Okay.
Okay, ito last from Romarico Tongos. ROTC is an unnecessary expense, better spent on new classrooms and new teachers.
Si VJ, si Ate Ringo, si Mama, si Mother Earth nanonood sa atin. Yan.
Sabi ni-
Inaabangan daw niya si
Hello.
Senator Laila de Lima at si Coque.
Sabi naman ni Cecil Samaniego, good day, Tito Diego. At Tita Ito. Parang Tito.
Ito ha, si Geraldine Balolong, si Tita Daisy, Tito Naldi Cancio, Tito Dito, Ronald Maxtay, Julius Manalo, Mark Santiago. Yan. Good morning po sa inyo.
Good morning.
Ate Nina Benales na nanonood sa atin. Alright, let's continue with our countdown.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Going straight now to our top 7 Quiboloy senatorial candidacy. COMELEC says Pastor Apollo Quiboloy's candidacy issue is not deemed material misrepresentation. In an interview with One News Storycon, Garcia clarified that such misrepresentation in candidacy pertains only to specific qualifications for the office. These include age, citizenship, residency, literacy, and a 3 consecutive term limit. Garcia's statement comes after the Workers and Peasants Party disowned Quiboloy's Certificate of Nomination and Acceptance or CONA. WPP was listed in the Preacher's CONA for Senator.
Okay. Pagka daw po outside ng mga bagay na ito, papasok siyang misrepresentation pero hindi po siya magko-constitute ng tinatawag na material misrepresentation that may cause the cancellation of the candidacy or denial of due course of candidacy.
Okay.
Ang problema doon is why did he put it as his political party when he's
May
a party?
ano daw kasi yan
the lawyer daw, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, one of the lawyers, is part of the party.
Yeah, so parang ano yan dalawang faction, parang PDP laban.
Oh, pero hindi daw kasi official signatories yung lawyer ni Quiboloy. They cannot sign daw, kahit may faction, they cannot sign on behalf of the party daw.
Pero di ba sabi naman, sige, para wala na daw away, maging-independent na lang siya.
But ang point nito
that's
is,
not the point.
You started off your COC, your campaign towards a possible senatorialship by misrepresenting what party you
Umpisa
belong
pa lang
to.
no?
Umpisa pa lang may gulo ka na di ba? Tapos
Actually, nakikita ko nga sa some international news organization or websites, nakikita ko na yung mga ibang articles niya about this, the embattled pastor seeks senatorial.
sabi nga ng marami,
seat,
could you
ganyan.
imagine kung tinuloy ni Alice Go ang pagtatakbo at natanggap? Kasi ang COMELEC, you all know, ministerial lang yan. Ano yung optics nito sa ibang neighboring countries? You have Papolo Quiboloy and you have Alice Go running for office.
Oo. Well, di ba parang, kasi before, di ba, we had Senator Laila de Lima na nakakulong, tapos we have Senator Trillanes na nakakulong.
No, but
pero
iba yung cast.
feeling nila kasi siguro ganun sila. I don't know. Di ba? Pero well.
Si Senator Laila de Lima hindi tumakbo.
Exactly.
Hindi nagtago sa bunker.
Well, tignan natin kung paano pa tong ang sabi ng COMELEC, meron silang by October, end of the October baka makapagpakita na sila ng official list of candidates because by December is printing of
And
ballots.
February start na ng election
Officially candidates na talaga itong
and
mga
start
to.
ng campaign period for national. Tas March is for local.
Oo, mamaya meron pa tayo pag-uusapan tungkol kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. But for the meantime, let's continue with our countdown.
Coming in at the 6th spot is about Tito Soto. The senatorial aspirant Soto shares his motivations in running again for Senate. Soto told a big story that he will fight fake news if elected again as senator. Aside from this, he said he would push for measures that would seek early retirement for government personnel. The former Senate president also aims to right-size the government as he claims the national budget is overinflated.
We really need a budget reform. It's now 6.3 trillion. And 60%, more than 60% goes to personal services. And then a big chunk for debt servicing. So how much of this budget goes to the people?
According
So we
to
need
you,
to
less than
right-size.
10%, di ba?
We
Ang
need
napupunta.
we need to right-size the government.
Actually, nung sinabi ni, when he was Senate President pa, Tito Soto, he was talking about that already. And then somebody asked him, bakit hindi downsize by right size? When you say downsize kasi, that means tatanggalin mo yung mga positions also that are functional, pero hindi mo na kaya. Ang right sizing means ang daming fat na kailangan mo i-trim, madaming redundancy sa loob ng sistema. So, kailangan pa ba ng director level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Totoo.
of the same function, ha?
So yung iba daw parang isisik to retire early.
Oo. And when you do that,
Makakapaano yan sa budget?
and then when you do that, you free up the budget. Now you can take a look at, okay, taasan natin ang sweldo ng teacher. Taasan natin ang sweldo ng mga nurses, di ba, sa mga public hospitals. Ang daming mga pulis, mga sundalo, ang daming mong pwedeng paglaanan ng kaysa multiple positions sa top, nagiging top heavy ka.
Oo, yun nga yun. Pero abangan nila yung full interview niyan sa...
Yeah, oo.
Hindi pala abangan, pwede nilang balikan.
Balikan yung
full
full
interview
interview.
niyan sa The Big Story sa YouTube. Alright, let's continue with our countdown. Coming at the 5th spot is Senator Amy Marcos. The re-electionist said she is making ways for her two friends to make amends and reconcile. In an interview with 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Senator Amy Marcos said she wants her friends to understand each other and reunite. She did not directly refer to her brother, President Bongbong Marcos, who she described as hindi palaaway. The senator also insisted that the Duterte are already retired who are mired with various issues. Recall that Senator Marcos's friend, Vice President Sara Duterte, has been openly criticizing the president. Senator Marcos also expressed willingness to participate in a senatorial debate under one condition.
Okay lang kung totoong debate. Kasi kung minsan, ayoko talaga ng binubuli. Yung nakikita natin sa TV na kinukuyog, tapos pinagtutulong-tulungan. Ayoko ng ganun eh. Ang pangit nun, di ba?
Well, seek
Remember,
to unite
sinabi
her
ni-
friends. Hindi man niya sinabi friend and brother. Sabi niya friends yan.
Sabi niya ayaw daw yung mga palaaway. Yesterday napanood ko yan yung konti. Narinig ko pala sa STL. Sinabi nga daw niya si House Speaker daw yung palaaway. Yun yung sinabi niya ha.
Sabi niya kasi friends. Pero yung madami nagsasabi kasi si President Bongbong Marcos, hindi naman siya somewhat confrontational pag sa issues. But nakita mo yung galit niya. There was an instance na nag-smirk siya, tapos sumagot siya sarcastically about yung drug issue, di ba? Yung magpa-drug test daw sa PBBM, tapos sumagot si PBBM, baka hindi na siya naka-fentanyl. Di ba natawa siya ngayon? Baka kulang siya, baka hindi na siya he missed a dose or something like that.
But anyway, when it comes to debate naman, sinabi naman ni Comelec Chairman George Garcia, di ba? Kung matapang kayo, nag-file kayo ng inyong COC,
Yes, oo.
di ba? Matapang din kayo humarap sa mga
Humarap sa tao. Plus, this evens the playing field sa mga candidates who have less amount to
partido.
spend. No, ito, di ba, yung mga may intention naman to serve, makipagsabayan kayo sa mga candidates na may pera. Di ba? So, makita natin kung sino.
Sige, go. Tapusin mo yan kasi meron pang next.
Naamoy kang bango eh. So, yun lang.
Kain
Yung
muna
sinasabi
ako.
ko, di ba, if you're... nalawala ako.
Bakit?
Anyway, yun lang. Marami pa tayong pag-usapan, so let's move on to the next. Coming in hot at the fourth spot is about Taal Volcano. PHIVOLCS has recorded a minor phreatic eruption at the small volcano yesterday. The eruption occurred at Taal's main crater at 7:21 a.m. It produced a 2,800-meter high plume that drifted southwest. Taal remains under alert level 1, which means the volcano remains in an abnormal state. Residents near the area are cautioned about the volcano's possible sudden steam-driven explosions, volcanic earthquakes, and minor ash fall. Kailan ba nag-ash fall last?
No, last week lang din.
Last week lang, di ba?
Pumutok siya. Tapos yun nga, yung pinag-iingat yung mga residente nearby. And antabay lang po kayo dun sa mga announcement ng local government and of course ng PHIVOLCS, di ba, doon sa latest activity ng Taal. But for the meantime, may sasabi ka pa?
Wala na.
Okay, don't go away because we're not done yet. May tatlo ba tayo? At syempre may guest tayo mamaya. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Thank you for joining us again.
Budas Belly, thank you so much sa ating feast
Parang
for
tuwing
today.
gap, pakonti ng pakonti yung...
Ewan ko sa'yo, yung side mo yan.
Hindi, mas mabawas ngayon sa'yo. Yan. Anyway, madami tayong pag-uusapan. So let's move on with the show.
Coming hot at the third spot is another propaganda from China. Authorities have denied a report from China that Filipino fishermen were harassing Chinese fishermen in the West Philippine Sea. In a report by Chinese state media CGTN, Chinese fishermen claimed that Filipino fishermen used poison and electric nets in Scarborough Shoal. The report also accused the Philippines of provoking maritime incidents in disputed waters. The Philippine Navy dismissed these accusations as deceptive messaging. Fishermen's Grupa Malacaya also rejected the claims and called them baseless.
Walang batayan at naglulubid ng kasinungalingan. Walang kapasidad ang mga maingisdang Pilipino na gawin sa mga Chinese fishermen yung paratang nila. Ang konklusyon ko dito ay para baliktarin yung ginagawa nila sa mga Filipino fishermen.
Actually,
First of all, tignan mo muna yung kagamitan ng Filipino fishermen sa Chinese. Nakita mo ba yung boats na
may
ginagamit
evidence
ng
ba kayo?
Chinese fishermen? Ang lalaki compared tayo mga bangka at kahoy. Diba? Tapos number two, based on the actual video, wag na natin lagyan ng commentary yung video. Based on actual video, sino ba yung namamangga at nambubutas ng barko? Diba? Sino? Diba, nakakairita na kayo?
tsaka, di ba, yun nga, meron ba kayong video that will support your claims?
Actually, they have videos
ang mga
that-
Pilipino ang... Kaso, yun
They
nga,
splice eh. They splice
Pero
and they
hindi,
edit.
I don't think they can splice yung sinasabi nilang may explosion, may electronic nets, diba? O,
Ay, di, ano yung
saan
video mo?
yun?
May video ka na, naglalagay tayo electronic net, diba?
Oo.
Ano ba naman
Parang
electronic?
well, yun ang nga sinasabi natin, 'di ba? Parang hindi na to bago dun sa mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas, especially dun sa mga fishermen natin doon. The other day, if I'm not mistaken, or some days ago, 'di ba, nagkaroon din ng water cannoning
Yeah,
incident
oo.
yung sa sa yung Chinese Coast Guard nagbato ng water cannon sa may sa mga BFAR officials, no, kasi they were doing a maritime supply mission doon sa mga mangingisda doon. Although it was successful naman, pero still, 'di ba, on the way there while navigating the seas, mayroong mga bumabato ng water cannon sa kanila because according dito sa Chinese Coast Guard we're violating their laws daw.
Pero, sige, mahabang issue pa yan. Actually, matagal yan bago mawala. I don't think it takes one administration. It's gonna extend further. But let's move on to the next. Going second in our countdown is about Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. His key associate has entered a plea deal with the United States in exchange for pleading guilty to fraud. The U.S. Justice Department said Kingdom of Jesus Christ or KOJC Administrator Marisa Duenas confessed to arranging fraudulent marriages between Filipino KOJC members and U.S. citizens. This, for them, is to obtain legal immigration status in the U.S. and to solicit money for their church. Duenas entered the plea deal in hopes of attaining a reduced sentence. Quiboloy's camp has yet to comment on this matter. The Philippine Justice Department welcomed this development and believed it can expedite the US's extradition request for Quiboloy.
Isa yung kumbaga, parang challenge, no, sa ating gobyerno at sa gobyerno ng USA na mag-file na ng extradition dahil hindi naman po pwedeng maging senador ang isang accused ng human trafficking, especially when there is substantial evidence already to the effect, no, na ganyan talaga ang ginagawa niya. So if anything, it just expedited the extradition.
Senator Risa Hontiveros also welcomed this news. The senator who leads the Senate investigation into the KOJC issues, linked crimes, hopes Duenas can participate in their probe.
I also hope that Ms. Duenas, given her position in KOJC, would be open to participating in our continuing investigation on the various allegations of abuses and criminal acts by Quiboloy.
Yan, sa susunod kasi na na hearing, sabi nga ni Senator Risa Hontiveros, invite nga nila or they will ask the court para payagan itong si Pastor Apollo Quiboloy na umattend nga ng hearing, which is yun talaga yung pinakapunot dulo nito.
Kasi
hindi siya umattend ng hearing
may mga
yun,
new witness testimonies daw na ihaharap kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy.
Dito dun sa case with the Duenas, yung kanyang isa sa mga staff na nagsabi nga, yung nag-enter ng plea deal dun sa US, sinasabi niya, nung nabasa ko yung story, na yung mga tao from here, they will invite them to go to the US, sabihin may a-attendan na parang a gathering or whatsoever, tapos yung pala, magsusolicit sila doon for a children's foundation, tapos may quota system sila. Pag hindi daw yun na-reach yung quota nila, they will, some of the victims are forced to stay in an isolation.
May mga punishment.
May mga punishment, may paddling rather, tapos merong hindi pa pakainin.
Some daw are even asked to work for either the network or the church that is owned by the church without salary just to compensate
yan
for
dito, pero
dito naman yan.
ko yung sa US. Tapos yung mga top performers naman daw ng mga nagsusulisit sa US kasi we're talking about the US. Yun naman ini-elevate nila sa ibang scheme naman, which is yung arranged marriages. Yun yung mga
parang Ponzi scheme ang dating
Oo,
diba?
so itong 2015 to 2020, dun daw yung specifically years na nagtrabaho yan sila Duenas na gawin nga yung mga sham marriages, etc. na yan. So those are huge accusations, diba, na I think may mga documents sila to support it.
All right, let's move on. And occupying our top story for today is so-called Pogo Godfather. Alleged Lucky South 99 big boss Liu Dong has been arrested by authorities in Biñan, Laguna last night. He was arrested along with 12 Chinese nationals and 9 drivers and personal assistants. Liu Dong was also said to have connections to other Pogo hubs in the country. The Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, or PAOK, previously targeted him during the raid of Lucky South 99 in Porac, Pampanga in June. Liu Dong denied the accusations and insisted the authorities have got the wrong person. He and his companions are currently under PAOK's custody in Pasay City.
Ayan yung pinagtagad.
Bigla lang po kami, sir. Hindi po namin alam na ganun yung mga problema.
Anong business ba ng boss mo?
Alam ko, sir, nag-o-office lang naman yan sila, sir. Hindi ko masabi, sir, kung anong business, sir. Basta nakikita ko lang naman, lagi hawak yung cellphone, laptop. Ganun lang, sir.
Matagal na daw nila minamanmanan kasi yan ng PAOK. Tapos yung time na ayun pakita natin ulit yung video nung pag-aresto dito kay pangalan? Liudong, Aka, Boss Boga, Boss Apaw, and Boss Bahaw. Ayos
Boss Bahaw,
Ayan po, yan. Nakikita natin, that's the time of the arrest in Laguna of the allegedly godfather of Pogos. No?
Sino yung pinag-usapan din natin? Pogo Boss yung kahapon, yung may binanggit kang name?
Alin? Hindi ko alam. Don't put me on the spot.
Fu ba? Ano?
Fugyang, something like that.
Fugyang,
Pero I was wondering kung, halimbawa kung makausap na nila to, paano yung link nito kay Alice Go? Magkakilala ba sila?
Kasi ito
Is this the same person na sinulat ni Alice Go doon sa parang yung during the hearing, doon sa Senado?
This is the big boss kasi in Porac sa IGL, Lucky South 99, which has established links already to Bambantarlac.
So alamin natin yung iba pang mga development So far nga naka-detain siya ngayon. At saka it's a win nga daw, 'di ba, for the Bureau of Immigration, DOJ, and apparently since the raid na ginawa ng PAOK, 'di ba, sa Lucky South 99, naririnig na nga daw nila yung mga death threats sa Yusek Gilbert Cruz, sila Winston Castro, spokesperson Winston Castro. Parang may patong na nga daw sa ulo nila.
Si Castro matagal na daw may death threat Subukan daw niya lumabas ng bansa, parang may mga ganun daw lumalabas.
So sinasabi nila, yun nga, it's a good development for this case kasi syempre, 'di ba, lagi natin pinag-uusapan ito yung mga tauhan, ito yung mga supposedly na kasama, mga kasabwat, pero yung pinuno, yung hindi pa natin nakukuha, which is right now, ang sabi nila, ito nga daw yung godfathers.
Yes.
Liudong.
Okay.
Ito na.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. May mga kasama tayong dalawang guests live sa studio mamaya. Please stay with us and find out sino ang guests.
Sinabi...
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News.
Okay. Sige. Diba, this Friday, brunch break naman tayo. So, the mamamayang Liberal Party list is seeking a seat in the lower chamber in next year's elections. What are the campaign plans and what are their priority programs for the public?
Let's talk about this with two of our live guests for today. We have former Senator Laila De Lima and former Congressman Erin Tanyada with us on Brunch. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Morning. Thank you for the invitation.
And Angela,
Yes.
it's a pleasure being here.
All right. Of course, we'd like to start off, Senator Laila. It was expected, we thought you would run for senator, and then the announcement came that the party list. But a lot of our viewers and a lot of the people in social media have said, why would you want to re-enter politics after all that has happened in your life in the last years?
Thank you for that question. Totoo yan, I was really not thinking of rejoining politics after I gained freedom provisionally muna noong November on bail, and then this June this year, I complete freedom na because all my cases have been dismissed. So I did not intend, akala ko I would have more time to rest and venture in other things like resuming my private law practice and resuming my teaching career.
Yes.
Right.
But things happen. When I say things happen, is because nag-iikot kami noon, kasama ko rin sila, because we were promoting VML, and then the ML party list, and I was also sharing my story with people, especially sa mga universities and colleges. And then people really would approach me and would ask me, babalik ho ba kayo sa Senado? Dapat ho bumalik kayo sa Senado. And then I would always say, no, magpapahinga na muna ako ngayon. Alam niyo naman, almost 7 years na kinulong ka, mahirap yun, kailangan pa ako mag-adjust. But fortunately, naka-adjust naman kaagad ako naka-adjust ako sa ingay ng mundo compared to my life of solitude
Yes.
there at the PNP Custodial Center. And then, nagkaroon ng because, I was thinking, baka masayang lang na I'll just be really a private citizen, Laila. Of course, I can still pursue my core advocacies. Alam nyo naman po, yung advocacies ko, human rights, justice, democracy. As a private citizen, I could do it. Pero naisip ko rin na mas maganda na balik ako sa public sphere and lalo na kung ang ang kaharap mo na lagi, kausap mo na lagi ay iba-ibang mga sektor ng lipunan. Yung mga marginalized sectors, and precisely ML party list stand for those marginalized sectors. So naisip ko, why don't I lend my voice for the marginalized sectors? A stronger voice, a courageous voice to advance their interests. Ang daming problema ngayon sa bayan, talaga apektado lahat na sektor. And lalo na nung nakita ko na sila ang magiging mga kasamahan ko, si Ted Bagilat, who is our second nominee, and then si Erin, former Congressman Erin Tanyada. So, gano'n na lang, nagbigla na lang. Although last-minute decision talaga yun. It's so difficult to because it's again, a parang panibagong
yugto ng buhay.
Ng aking buhay ko.
Totoo,
yung chapter. And at the same time, whether it's in the Senate or in the House of Representatives, meron ka namang boses. Mapupursu mo pa rin yung advocacy.
And it's legislation.
And legislation. And especially engage also in national discourses sa dami ng mga issue ngayon na lumalabas.
Gusto ko nga po isa-isahin yung issue niya. Before that po, former Congressman Erin Tanyada, we haven't seen you in the political scene, di ba? For some time now. I mean, as
2019.
Well, ano nga po, can you explain to us po, siguro mas maiging ma-explain po ninyo, ano po talaga yung nire-representa ng ML party list?
Well, ML is the sectoral wing, multi-sectoral wing of the Liberal Party. So, if we talk about the Liberal Party, kasi you talk only about elected officials.
Yes.
No? So in 2011, the party leadership decided to open up the membership of the Liberal Party to different sectors. And this was approved. So in 2012, they identified the sectors: fisherfolk, farmers, women, youth, urban poor. And this was approved by the party leadership, and the expression of that was called Mamamayang Liberal. No? In English, of course, liberal citizens. And we tried to have the sectoral wing accredited by the COMELEC for the 2022 elections. We went through the process in 2021. It was denied. So last year, we tried again. And fortunately, in July of 2024, na-approve, na-credit yung ML. So it has always been a part of the Liberal Party. And I think maraming nagulat, no? This is the first time that, of course, it's in the reverse. Because if you look at the other party list groups, you have Bayan Muna, who is a party list that fields candidates for the senatorial level. Akbayan, the same. Now it's the reverse. It's the political party that is fielding.
That's right. But I'd like to ask also, Senator Laila, a lot of people are asking that after your experience, what happened? You were detained for a long time based on testimonies that were supposedly fabricated, and eventually nag-recant din sila. But what are your plans daw for the justice system in terms of yung Juan de la Cruz na hindi senador, na hindi isang government official? How will you fight this system?
Ang unang-una ay kailangan palakasin, palawakin yung access to justice. So many have no access to justice. And then syempre yung speeding up of the process, kasi hanggang ngayon problema pa rin yan, yung chronic delays. Although the Supreme Court has been issuing certain guidelines on how to reform that aspect na mas mapabilis. Pero
Yeah.
minsan hindi pa rin nangyayari yan. Look at what happened to my case.
Yes.
Almost 7 years pending yung mga kaso. And then syempre of course yung attitude ng ating justice system, yung sector, yung criminal justice system natin, na everyone should be treated equally, same access to justice, and then same treatment. Na kasi nangyayari ngayon kapag ordinaryo, ang bilis-bilis madakip, tapos kinukulong,
Yes, that's
tapos
right.
dahil walang abogado, ay napakatagal ng kaso, na minsan mga sumusobra pa sila sa piitan dun sa imposable
Nahuhulog na
penalty,
dun, no? Yes.
na hindi pa sila nako-convict. And yet when it comes to high-profile, powerful personalities, pahirapan sa pagdadakip sa kanila. We also that happened recently. The case of Alice Guo, Huaping, on the case of Pastor Quiboloy, and then meron pa nga hindi pa nagpapakita o bumabalik dito. Like sila Teves and also si General Bantag.
Yes.
So there should be significant, meaningful, and genuine reforms in our criminal justice system na hindi dapat ganon, double standards. And then even yung pagtatrato din sa mga nakakulong, may double standard din. Yung look at the situation in the correctional facility. Isa pa ho yan na gusto ko talagang yung correctional, the prison reform.
Yes, that's right.
I actually filed a comprehensive reform bill when I was still a senator. Hindi naman pinansin yung Unified Penitentiary Bill. And syempre, kasi the urban poor is part of the sectors that we represent. There are many problems, challenges affecting the urban poor sector.
Yes.
And then sila nga yung tinarget during the war on drugs. So I fought for them. And then these various sectors that ML represent, they have their distinct attributes, they have their distinct aspirations as a sector. But kung titingnan nyo, isang cause, isang ideal, ang sa kanila, bumabalot sa kanila. The common goal is actually social justice, yung katarungang panlipunan. So that would be our main platform in advancing social justice that would affect all of these sectors.
Bago tayo pumunta kay Kong Erin, gusto ko lang po sundutan po yung sinabi ninyo kasi nabanggit niyo po yung war on drugs, yung mga system natin, and sinabi ni Diego yung mga you were detained under false testimony, and ito po si Kerwin Espinosa is saying na he is willing to testify sa ICC. Your comments on that?
Okay, narinig ko po yung yung press con niya. And well, ang dyan is kung meron talaga siyang masasabi, kung meron talaga siyang impormasyon on the drug war killings itself, the very issue. Kasi yan ang pinaka-subject doon sa ICC. At syempre, yung pagpatay doon sa kanyang ama, that was a clear case of EJK. And there are other personalities na ganun din. And then, before that, yung testimony ni former Mayor Mabilog, na ginagamit lang pala yung drug war na yon para diinin, para ipitin yung mga political adversaries. Now, kung meron talaga siyang konkretong kontribusyon sa testimony ni Kerwin na makakapagturo talaga kung sino-sino ang alam niya na involved sa mga pagpapatay na yan, then yes, I think ICC would always welcome all those information. Kasi ang lang naman ng ICC is information muna. And that is subject to their validation.
That's right.
And then, narinig ko rin na humingi siya ng tawad during that press con, na alam ko naman talaga na inimbento niya yung mga sinasabi niya sa akin noon. And clearly to me, doon pa lang nakita ko na that he was under duress, na talagang napilitan siya na magsinungaling about yung pagiging protector daw niya ako, na nag-receive ako ng because of one photo, one
pinapatawad
picture.
niyo po ba siya?
Pinatawad ko. Actually, pinatawad ko na silang lahat. Isa lang
Silang lahat po?
Silang lahat, isa lang yung hindi ko pa kaya patawarin. Alam niyo na po yun.
Kaya,
Mahirap pa po para sa akin.
We understand
So,
that.
I just, I'm just asking for God's grace to be able to do that. Pinatawad ko na sila kasi naintindihan ko naman na yung bakit sila nagpagamit. Under the culture of fear then, the prevailing culture of fear, real fear, na mga pinilit lang sila. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to ask Kong Erin. We've talked about this in our previous shows. You've been a champion for the FOI,
Yes.
and until now we've yet to see a legislated version of this. There is an EO from no less than PRRD.
Yes.
Why do you think there's some apprehension with several lawmakers to really institutionalize the FOI bill?
Well, first of all, that's Executive Order number 2, which President Duterte signed and extended by
PBBM.
BBM. There might be an apprehension with regard to this because on the questions on who will be able to access the statements of assets and liabilities and net worth, and what information will be available to the public. So I think this is one of the reasons why nahihirapan na may pasa ito sa lower house, no? Although like I mentioned, sayang, there was that great opportunity in 2010, no, before the term of President Noynoy Aquino, that both chambers passed their versions and ratified the bicameral conference committee report, ratified by the Senate. When it came to the House, I think there was an order to kill it. That's why there was a declaration that there was no quorum in the House at the time. So
Why
hopefully...
do you think na may mga ganong order?
Well, because they fear that the FOI will be used to uncover, which is, I think, the basic reason for the FOI, uncover possible graft and corruption issues. So yun yung apprehension na nanggagaling.
Are you going to push for it?
If given the opportunity, yes.
Tuloy pa rin.
Yes, kasi it's better to have a law than an executive order which lives only during the lifespan of a current administration. The law is longer.
Okay. I'd like to ask also, anyone can answer about there are several numbers that indicate, even from the opposition voting base, that are satisfied with PBBM's policies and programs. They are being even asked that if they were to choose between PBBM or PRRD, they would have chosen PBBM. Over him. Now, I'd like to ask your assessment, anyone, about what you think is happening right now, that there's an acceptance from previously. I could have never imagined who would have accepted this administration.
Kasi yung choices nga, yung choice natin nagiging sa dalawa lang. Although medyo, we can say na medyo may pagkukulang ang opposition dyan. Pero we are naman, we as much as possible, the opposition, and when I say opposition, yung Liberal Party and allied groups, is that pinapakita naman namin na we are an independent opposition. But when we say we are an opposition, ang basihan natin is issues-based. We do not just want to be just criticizing and criticizing for the sake of doing that. Ang ano namin is issues. Nagkataon lang na sa mga mahalagang mga issue natin ngayon, ay mas marami yung medyo, kung magpipili tayo doon sa dalawang kampo, Duterte block and the Marcos camp, ay mas maraming issue na against the Dutertes. Lalo na dyan sa mga naglalabasan ngayon ng mga revelation. Kasi yung pag-alis nga ni Mr. Duterte na talagang sinira niya yung Pilipinas sa foreign policy, and then even in terms of governance, kasi may mga corruption issues, yung wala naman talagang good governance sila, tunay na good governance na pinakita, mas madali na yung susunod na administrasyon. Na in terms of people comparing, mas madali because the bar has been so low. Kaya ganyan, nakikita, between the two choices, yan, mas maano yung kay Marcos administration. But mayroon din siyempre mga issues against the Marcos administration. And kami sa LP, as much as possible, we are very objective about it. Pinipili namin yung mga issue na will be, strong kami. And then the others is that titingnan namin alin ang mas matimbang. Whether it's not about being pro-Duterte or pro-Marcos or being anti-Duterte or anti-Marcos. It's about the issues. Kung saan talaga.
Exactly.
Yung ano. So kami, yan ang ng Liberal Party, but we remain to be an independent opposition, only that our numbers have been decimated sa sobrang demonization na ginawa sa amin.
Who do you think is responsible for that?
Mr. Duterte. And his ilk. Grabe yung paninira nila sa mga dilawan and all that, kung ano-ano ang mga tinawag sa amin na hindi naman totoo. Pero ito ngang 2025 elections, andyan na naman yung pagkakataon. Hindi lang for the senatorial, but sa House of Representatives nga. Doon nga kami excited kasi kung makikita nyo, may iba pang mga grupo.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know,
oo.
bayan, and then
Yun
yung
nga
mga bayan muna, and then Magdalo, na mga kindred, more or less,
Do you think that-
nag-overlap yung mga ano namin,
Yeah.
advocacy.
Do you think po na may chance ngayon na it's really not a challenge right now, yung mga labanan ngayon versus the political dynasties or political clan? Do you think na may chance ngayon yung mga progressive?
We'd like
mga
to think so. We'd like to think so. And that's why we welcome the diversity of groups. Even if sinasabi nila, paano yan, mag-aagawan kayo ng boto.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ang ano naman namin dyan is that, nasa ano na yan how we handle the campaign.
Yes.
Our campaign strategies should be strategic, na mas maganda kung lahat kami magkaroon ng seats dyan, either 1 seat, 2 seats, or 3 seats. Mas maganda kung 3 seats kami.
Yes.
You know, because we would be a force to be reckoned with, a block, and there it would be a minority, a true, genuine minority, na magsasama-sama kami, even dun sa mga pet legislations namin, ay we will be consulting with each other, alin ang mga susuportahan ng mga legislations of each other, alin dyan yung mga joint mga legislations.
Opo.
So-
Wala na po tayong oras,
so
ma'am. Pero
excited.
speaking of suportahan, this we have to ask, very quick lang po, just in case makakuha po kayo ng upuan po sa Congress, will you guys support yung calls for the impeachment of VP Sara?
Kung Erin.
Well, it depends on who will file it first, no? Although there has been a statement made by the party list group, the progressive party list group, that they would, and Magdalo, I think, also came out with the statement. So we will have to see what are the charges that would be thrown at VP Sara, whether it's betrayal of public trust, grafted corruption, or high crimes. Titingnan natin, pag-aaralan natin yan.
Alright, sige na ko. Marami pa po kami gustong itanong sa inyo,
Oo, bitin.
especially yung mga issues on Pogos, West Philippine Sea, but hopefully we can still invite you over po para mas mapalawak po yung discussion
It would be
on
a
that.
pleasure again.
But for the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyo, former Senator Laila de Lima and former Congressman Erin Tañada for Mamamayang Liberal Party List. Thank you so much po.
Salamat po.
Yun.
And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Thank you so much, Buddha's Belly, for our food today. Kain po kayo. Join us on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunzad-Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.